Good evening and welcome to the September 27th, 2022 Neuse Charter School Board of Directors meeting. I will call the roll to establish a quorum. Nicole.
Here.
Michelle is not here yet. Jason.
Here.
Robbie is not here yet. Benji.
Here.
And Paul is on the virtual. All right, so having established a quorum, I hereby call this Neuse Charter School Board of Directors meeting to order at 6:05 p.m. on September 27th, 2022. I will now read the ethics statement. Conflict of interest reminder per North Carolina General Statute 138A-15E. Board members are reminded that it is our duty to avoid conflicts of interest and the appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of this board. Does any member of the board know of any conflict of interest or any appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before us at this meeting? If so, please state them for the record. If during the course of the meeting you become aware of an actual or apparent conflict of interest, please bring the matter to the attention of the chair. It will then be your duty to abstain from participating in discussion on the matter and from voting on the matter. All right. Next, we will have reading and approval of the July 25th, 2022 special meeting minutes and the August 23rd, 2022 regular meeting minutes. We can read these aloud or silently, or if everyone has read them, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes for both meetings as provided.
Thank you, Benji. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jason. All right, any corrections? I'm hearing none. I'm assuming since we're doing it as provided. Then I will call the roll to vote on to approve the minutes. Nicole? Aye. Jason?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Paul, I know is listening. I don't know if he can unmute, but I will vote aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Paul. And I vote aye as well. Motion carries. The minutes are approved. Brad, do we have anyone for public comment?
They would be signing up in here.
All right, thank you very much. And Dr. Carpenter, thank you for joining us, but we did not talk about having any guest discourse, so I will not put you on the spot, but appreciate you being here with us tonight. Okay, Dr. Blackwell, good to see you in person. Do we have any correspondence from our authorizer?
Just that we have the charter renewal webinar next week.
Yes, I'm all set for that. So, all right, great. And then your superintendent report.
Okay. Everything that I'm talking about is in the shared drive, so you're welcome to access these documents in there. The superintendent report, first we'll talk about the ADM. For this school year, we budgeted for 916. Our ADM came in at 909. We missed our mark by 7 students. However, because there was an increase to funding per child, even though we did not meet the ADM of 916, we still received an increased surplus of $164,414. For reference, in 21-22, we budgeted our ADM for 925 and it came in at 889. So this year we missed it by 7, but last year we missed it by 36. So just a number for you to note. This evening I am asking the board for approval for the salary stipend increases. If you go to the superintendent report, the link is embedded in there for you to click on it and look at it. There were 3 changes that were made. This is the extra duty assignment stipends that the board put together and approved prior to my arrival, but it does need to be updated. If you will look on the first tab, on the bottom, it says just the changes that are being made to this. Right here, yeah. We have changed the wording from semester to year-long since we are on year-long courses. We have clarified competitive teams to include robotics Girls on the Run, Science Fair, Spelling Bee, coaches, that doesn't change, band director in that, in level A. And then finally, we increase the sub-pay based on longevity moves. So that first tab, the change that you're noting is in level A. We added in Battle of the Books, robotics, science fair, Girls on the Run, Spelling Bee, science fair is in there twice. So those were added in to compensate our staff members who donate their time to run these clubs. The second tab, there were no changes. The last tab for sub rates. News has paid $90 a day to our substitute teachers for forever. We would like to recognize those who have been with us that long. We have several who have worked as substitutes at News Charter and have not received any kind of increased rates through all of these years. And we have created a scale that's based on years of service to News Charter School. So if you have subbed for our school from 0 to 4 years, it's $100 a day. 5 to 9 is $105. 10 to 14 years is $110. 15 plus is $120. So I'm asking for the board to approve those changes in this extra duty assignment stipend document.
Can I ask a question, or should you wait until you're done?
I'm good.
For the sub-pay for the 15 plus years or 10 to 14 years, so say, for example, if someone subbed just one time a year for 15 years, would they be treated the same as someone who would sub 10 times for?
Well, in this case, it only applies to one person who is here every day.
Okay.
Yeah. There's only one person that hits that number.
So there's only one person that's been here more than 4 years?
More than 14.
Okay, but for the ranges, the years, does it matter how much they work in the year? No, okay.
No.
And do the years have to be consecutive? Meaning?
Yes.
Yes, okay, so they do have to be consecutive, okay.
Sorry, Laura.
It's okay.
Do you want to pause and open the floor for, okay, at this time I will entertain a motion regarding, you're just asking about the sub rates, or you're asking about also about what was on?
The three
under
changes
stipends?
noted on
The
that.
3 changes noted. So which would be changing things to year-long, not semester, clarifying competitive teams, and increasing the sub pay based on longevity of News Charter School. So I will entertain a motion.
The amounts in column B, those did not change. Only thing that changed was just the addition of those teams. Okay.
You want to see that more, Benji?
No, I'm good. I just clarified that point.
Yeah. And we can discuss more, I think, if we need to, if we have a motion, once we have a motion on the table too, so.
So moved
To,
to approve the 3 changes at the bottom and the increase of pay.
yeah, and that's one of them. That's one of the 3.
Oh, that's one of the 3.
Yeah, so you move to go ahead and clarify that it's year-long, not semester, clarify competitive teams, and increase the sub pay based on longevity of News Charter School.
That would be my motion.
Thank you, Jason.
I said,
I'm sorry, can you say that one more time? So
Absolutely.
year-long, not semester.
Clarify competitive teams.
Clarified competitive teams.
And increase of pay based on longevity.
Yeah, and you could put clarified definition of competitive teams probably, okay? Because that's really what that is, who fits as the competitive team. So clarified definition of competitive teams and increased sub pay based on longevity at News Charter School. Okay, and then Benji seconded. Okay, thank you both. Any further discussion? Questions?
I don't know if this is, I don't know if I'm supposed to ask this during an open session. On athletic director, since we have 2 this year, are they both getting that supplement, or is that?
It's divided between the two of them equally.
treasurer, I felt like I need to ask that.
It's a great question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other questions, comments? All right, hearing none, let's go ahead and vote on the motion on the table to approve these three changes. Nicole?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you all very much. Also, I'm wondering if Paul might get locked out too, because I know he was on his way. I'm not sure if he's still on.
I'll text Paul and just tell him.
Okay, he's still on here, sorry. Got it. Okay, just let us know when you're here. Okay, thank you. You may continue your report. Thank you.
The next item is the secondary employment statement that we had left under unfinished business. Should I hold this until then, or should I go ahead with it?
I think it's fine to do it now.
So we had initially said that this was going to be a policy, but what has been presented now is just a statement that would go in the handbook, which clarifies for our employees what those parameters are that they can and cannot do during work hours. So the second and third paragraphs are of importance in terms of explaining that. Instead of having staff sign and disclose, which was the initial request, we're just going to share with them what the stance should be on secondary employment so that they kind of better understand. And instead of them having to tell us that they tutor in the summers or they have an extra job door dashing or whatever it might be, that we don't necessarily need to know what that is, just that they understand that they have a secondary employment, that they function within this space. So it will not be permitted if it has an adverse effect on the employee's employment at the school. It is directly or indirectly creates a conflict of interest with primary employment, interferes with or impedes in any way the employee's ability to perform all expected duties, including to make decisions and carry out in an objective fashion the responsibility of the employee's position, or interferes with the employee's work hours, or has the actual or potential to require the employee to perform non-News Charter School work during the employee's work hours at News. So it's just outlining very clearly in our handbook that should they have secondary employment, and this really pertains more to virtual work than anything, now that COVID has opened that door for people to have virtual jobs, just making sure that our staff understand that, you know, they may have an online teaching, an adjunct teaching position that they have elsewhere. They just can't be grading those papers during the school day.
Right, right. And you had one of our legal counsel help.
Yes,
with
Lisa
this,
Gordon Stella helped with crafting this.
correct? Great. And you're not asking for a vote or anything because it's going to go in the handbook, right?
Right.
Okay.
Just notifying you all, just kind of closing the loop on it. This is
Right.
kind of what we felt like was the best move to make.
Anybody have any questions? I actually think this is a really good choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I just have one comment. In the third paragraph, and I am no English scholar, but it would, I was a little confused by the language. It seems like after non-NCS work, colon, I don't know, it but maybe just review that and make sure that really is abundantly clear.
Right.
But just a comment.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments regarding this policy? Thank you for sharing.
So we're going to take that one off of unfinished business.
All right.
The next two are just to remind you that the October board meeting will be a deep dive of data into our state testing reports. The superintendent will be presenting that to the State Board of Education early next week. And once that is done, then I will share that with you all in October. The last is a request consideration for us to potentially change our lottery dates. I'm bringing this up, that means that either we can talk about it this evening and make a decision tonight, or you all can marinate on it, we can vote in October, but I am going to ask that we consider and move our lottery dates up. So right now we go from January to March. And we are hoping that if we move it up from November to January, we're able to capture more families. And it allows us to open it up for just a little bit longer. It puts us in alignment with a competing charter school in the area. So it might be more beneficial for all families involved in the choice that they have the same kind of similar deadline. We do have another charter school in the area that conducts theirs February, March. But our hope is that we can move it up earlier and go ahead and have a more solid understanding of what our enrollment is going to be. Of course, not everybody who says they're coming will come. But if they know that they have to make that choice between one or the other, that they can do that a little bit easier. When we would call people in March and say, you're in, we're super excited for you, oh, I've already accepted an offer somewhere else.
So when you say January to March and November to January, you're saying when we open the, our applications to when, and so do you have dates picked out?
So we would start November 1st, and we would have our lottery on January 19th. It's still the third Thursday of the month. It's just in January.
I don't think we're talking about, she's making a recommendation to change our lottery date.
In your discussions, any drawbacks to moving the dates back at all?
There are a lot of charter schools and private schools that operate in this time frame. My experience in other charters and private schools is that the November to January is the time frame. And typically when schools wait until February, March, April, those families that might have chosen have already chosen and locked in. And, again, not everybody that says they're going actually goes, but it would give us, I think, a better understanding of the numbers, because it's a guessing game from when summer starts to when students enroll and actually show up on the first day of school.
Well, it's going to be a guessing game either way, but it gives us more time to plan if we have a sense in January instead of March. Other questions, comments, thoughts?
I mean, you guys are the professionals on that, but my thought would be November, December, around holiday time would not be when I would be thinking about, I'd be thinking about everything else but trying to get in for that. I don't want us to do it just because other folks are doing it, but if it turns out to be, it helps us plan better, great, but I'd be interested to revisit it if we do change it, revisit and look and see how accurate things were next year. That Thanksgiving, Christmas.
We'll definitely have to do a good job of putting it out there that we're changing it, because I know because it's been March for so long, that I know a lot of families in the community anticipate it being that time, so we're just going to do a really good job of publicizing it.
Right.
I just want to throw a couple of cents in here. Somebody who's worked with scheduling for the last few years, it would really help from the high school scheduling standpoint if we can go ahead and start seeing who we have coming in to determine what classes we need to offer for the following year. And the quicker we can do that, the more effective it's going to be.
Yeah, that's a really good. And I do think that having gone through applications, like science and math opens theirs mid-October and theirs is due early January. I think it's a very common time period. It's also, I know we're not the same as college, but it's also sort of in line with college applications. And so I do think that it would take a while to get new charter school families or people who are familiar with it to understand, but in terms of a cadence that is similar to other schools, I think this would be closer.
And just thinking about it, if we're going to do it, to wait until the October meeting seems a bit late to make that transition. So just thinking out loud, it seems like if we're going to do it, we need to do it tonight.
Well, we were going to be ready to roll on the 1st.
Okay.
And they're already working on it now. It just came up last week. And
Right.
so I didn't want there to be, an urgency behind it, even though I understand that there is.
And that was based on comments from folks within the staff who were calling, those folks who were accepted in the lottery who said, I've already made a decision elsewhere.
And about 6 weeks ahead of our call, they made that decision.
Right.
Hard
Well,
to argue with that.
yeah.
I see it as a benefit to the families, to the parents of the students, making that choice. If they have all their options and know where they can go, I think it's beneficial for them to be able to say, hey, I've got these 2 child choices, and this is my selection. So I think it's better for the parents involved, so I like the idea.
I agree, and I also think that it gives them, it gives them an opportunity to weigh the different schools too,
Right.
and to visit and do all of that. I like that it's a little bit longer application period. Obviously, with all the holidays built in, it might not feel longer, but okay. Other questions or comments? If not, I'll open the floor for a motion, and then we can still discuss after that.
I move that we modify our lottery dates to begin our application process November 1, with our lottery date being moved from March to January the 19th as recommended by Dr. Blackwell.
Could we just edit the lottery date to the, what is it, the third
Thursday.
Thursday?
Oh, Thursday.
Just- Yeah, third Thursday, so we don't have to vote every year on a particular date.
Do you want to give a date like that for the application, or application always November 1st?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay.
So the Monday after,
Is the
if
third
it falls on,
Thursday?
the first falls on a weekend, would be the Monday after.
So the motion is that we amend our lottery dates to begin our application process beginning November 1st, and our lottery date will be the third Thursday of January.
Second.
Any other discussion or comments regarding the motion that's on the floor? Hearing none, I will call the roll to vote on the motion to move our lottery dates as stated. Nicole? Aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Benji?
Aye.
Paul? All right, motion carries. You're very welcome. All right, wonderful. Okay, you get one more. Financial report.
Yes.
Yay.
So I put in the drive just a very quick synopsis of the finances based on the reports that Kathy Davies sent. One was for the year-end, 21-22 year-end, and the other was for the August 22 reports. So, yes, there you go.
Oh, that got really big.
We had a budgeted surplus of 2,700, sorry, 200,076. I'm tired, y'all. $560.93. Our actual surplus was $565,000.
It's okay. Get you another cup of coffee.
It wore off, Jason.
Yeah.
Where's Mr. Matisoff?
I know, right? Y'all can see that big number. And we are quite proud of it.
Yes.
It was, you don't ever really know exactly how it's going to land until the very, very end, but we were very pleased to see.
It's great.
Honest. That is the year-end report, which we are very, very pleased with. And then the August budget, we had a budgeted surplus of $3,410.17. But with our adjusted ADM that I mentioned earlier, now that is showing at $167,824.17. And I just put an asterisk because I wanted you all to see the exact statement from Kathy on how that was calculated. That our PMR was approved and our ADM was 909, which is less than what we had planned, but with the increased state funding, that gave us an additional surplus. So the dollars per child went up by $254.70, and then the dollars per our EC children went up $402.53. So very grateful to the state for making those adjustments to increase funding for our students, and we can definitely see that now as an increased surplus for our budget. Currently, we are sitting at a deficit, but that is because we have only received $20,713.25 of our local funding. We will expect to begin receiving all of those payments from our counties at the end of October. So that will quickly shift when those funds start coming.
That's really great.
And there is your financial report.
Any questions? Comments?
Just the only other comment that I would make was to reemphasize the fact that we only missed ADM number by 7 when we missed it by 36 last year, and there were 2 brand new schools, at least 2 brand new schools that I know of that opened in Johnston County this year. So that was with
That's really
a lot of the concern a lot of us had over there, that ended up not being as bad as I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, very excited. All right.
Quick question.
Oh,
Can
sorry.
someone remind me currently what is our policy and process regarding those kind of large deficits year end? Or
The surplus?
yeah, the surplus. Yeah. What did I say?
You said
Deficit. Sorry, surplus.
Deficit's
Huge
all over the
deficit.
Thank you. Double deficit that we weren't expecting.
Yes.
If Melissa doesn't want it, I'll take it.
I will let you have it.
Okay, what we had talked about in the past was whenever we didn't have a surplus, that we would set a target value and we would transfer the surplus from our general operating account to our residual reserve account. But we have never as a board agreed what that number should be to the best of my knowledge. So we had talked about it, we had discussed it, but there's never been a policy in place that says, hey, once you reach X number of dollars in the general fund, to transfer the remaining balance over to the reserve account, to the capital account.
And that's because this is our first good fortune.
Do what?
This is our first good fortune.
No, we've had this for a number of years in a row, and we have made transfers in the past, a one-off transfer. We would agree as a board to transfer $400,000 from this account to that account, but there has not been a policy put in place once you get to a certain number that the residual transfers. I think that would probably be the best place for us to make that decision, and let Jason and his group decide what that number should be, based on operating funds, based on how much we spend each month to have that protection in the general account. But I think that would be a take-home event for Jason, some homework for him.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And while we're giving you work, could you also decide when we would move that money? Because the beginning of the year is always challenging because we don't get paid, we don't get our monies, and so we do have a deficit in each school year at the beginning of the year.
Correct.
So we don't want to move too much, and certainly don't want to move it too early, but we don't want to move too little.
What would be the best time frame, Dr. Blackwell?
Once we start getting, so November, after October.
October,
Yeah.
November timeframe, I
Yeah.
think would be, everything should clear up, we will not be in arrears with the
But I
changes
also-
anymore, so.
I also think that you all could look historically, like in your committee, pull the historic data, the data, and just say, when have we gotten paid? When, when does that happen? How sort of look at what our you know, I think a percentage, like Benji was saying, would be great. And I think looking backwards is one way, is probably the best way to decide what is sort of the sweet spot. So it's not too much or too little.
Okay.
And then if we need to, we can always do a one-off vote to move more, move some back if we have to, if for whatever reason something unusual happens, but that'd be awesome.
So again, as the rookie here too, with this surplus and debt service and other stuff and other building concerns and getting rid of, like, how does this all fit into long-range plans with the double surplus that we thought we would have? Is there bigger things that our financial oversight committee needs to be thinking about?
Yes.
A big smile first, it says yes.
Yes.
Which probably is some of Robbie's committee stuff too, right there. So.
Yes, which is why it's, you know,
Yeah.
the three of you are the perfect people to talk about it.
Yeah, and, you know, in my comments, I mean, surpluses are great, but if you don't do anything with the money or have a plan of how we deal with these kind of things, it's kind of a waste.
Yeah,
So,
and we've always moved it.
Yeah.
It's just not having it sort of
Yeah,
structured.
Defined policy.
Yeah,
Instead
I
of
think
being just a one-off.
Right.
And we had mentioned about 3 months of operating expenses to have that as a retainer, but it's, you know, to be decided, to be determined.
and what do you call that term for the minutes? Like the residual, I guess, surplus that you want to leave in operating expense, you know.
Just a reserve, right?
Yeah, it's
A
just a
reserve,
reserve.
okay. Okay.
Working reserve.
And there are state requirements for how much reserve we have to have as well, so
Yeah.
Okay,
there's some things we have to consider there.
okay, thank you.
And I'm sure that when your committee meets, if the previous treasurer could be helpful, he might be available.
Yep, be glad to help.
Are we in a position on any of that? I guess we can have that in interest-bearing accounts as we see rates.
That's another great idea that we have talked about, but have not made a decision on how to invest that, whether that is an investment that we do here, invested in kids, invested in teachers, invested in facilities, or whether we invest in a stock, a CD. That has been talked about with the Finance Committee in the past, but a decision was never made on how to spend that money. It's more of a bigger future of the school. This is where we see ourselves in 3-year, 5-year plan. And then if you're going to do something in a short amount of time, then it's not worth the benefit to move that money. But it's really just up to us, up to the leadership to decide what the best direction and where to invest that money is.
Because you're really not going to get out of anything 6 months to 6 months.
Well, right now you can put it into something for 6 months and then it's earning around 4% at least, which is better than.
There's lots of options.
Better than
That's better than
nothing.
zero. What we're getting
It's
right
better
now.
than zero.
So,
Yeah, because it'll take
Yeah.
6 months to figure anything.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but I'm
Really?
wondering.
It takes us 6 months to figure anything out.
Sorry, of course not. We can do it.
We're not putting that- we're not
As you
putting
saw
that in the
earlier, we turned this right around on the set. But what I'm wondering about there too is everything that goes in surplus that's a state dollar, or a county dollar, not a federal dollar, right? Do we have to expend off federal dollars?
I know we always spend the federal first.
We always said.
Okay.
So
But you
there
can't-
should not be any federal reserve at the end of the year. This should all be state and local funds,
Right.
to the best of my knowledge.
You can't make interest off federal funds, though.
Right.
Can you on state dollars?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Can you on state dollars or local
You
dollars?
can on state dollars, as far as I know in the world I've been in, so.
You're gonna have a whole page.
Mm-hmm.
Check on
Lots of question marks on the page.
it. Okay, very good, thank you, appreciate that. Other thoughts, questions, concerns? This is really good news, so excited.
Is this the format that you all prefer for me to share this data with you each month? Just the budget, where we're sitting, you know, what dollars are coming in?
That's really helpful
Okay.
to me to see it this way, but what does everybody else think? Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to click, I clicked off accidentally, there we go.
Yeah, I think the middle part, the August, the month reporting, I think is what we need to be able to see visibility of. And then the year end, just once a year whenever we have that, but I guess twice a year when we had the preliminary, then when we had the final.
Right,
And then
okay,
the monthly numbers is just what we need to be reviewed.
okay.
But I do think in terms of like the year-end stuff, we might need to see that more than once if we move money and things like that. Like if there's a time,
Go
like
ahead.
the surplus, or what I'm saying, like if the money gets moved from one
It
account.
won't change your budget surplus or your information there, it will change your account balances.
Right.
So if you want to see account balances, that'd be something that is additional to what we're seeing here.
I just think it'd be nice for us to know once we decide, like in November, we're gonna move X percentage, like to have that reported out so that we know
Yeah.
we moved such and such amount.
Maybe it's, like the monthly budget, and then like she put the year end at the top, so
Right.
any significant changes that you
Yes.
added to that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's just the account balance, but I think I always feel good at home when I save money, so it might be nice to feel like, hey, look at us. Look at how much we
Be
save.
physically responsible.
Yes. Okay, but yeah, in general, this looks great. All right, anything else financial report or question wise? All right, we can move on to standing committee report then. Our governance committee, did you guys
We
meet?
did not meet, so there's no report.
Okay. And financial oversight committee,
We did not, tried to, but we just couldn't get us all together.
it's okay, sounds like you're gonna have to
That
a
was-
couple
we got
of
plenty,
times.
yeah, plenty to do.
All right, and risk management committee, risk management oversight committee, yeah.
Yes, we did meet, met on Monday, August the 29th with Dr. Carpenter, just a preliminary meeting to discuss the expectations and responsibility for the new committee. So we've had that meeting and still need to have follow-up on that. So just a first preliminary meeting and more to come.
Okay, wonderful. Do you feel like you've got a handle on?
I think so.
That's the
Risk
committee
is,
you never had anything
yeah,
about.
Risk is, it's a brand new committee and risk is a big term.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a little bit of border and clarity on what risk means for us. So we've got some good concepts for us to work on. So I think we're in a good place.
Perfect. All right. Dr. Carpenter, thank you for your help with that, as I know you're the one that suggested the risk management oversight committee, so grateful for that. All right. Thank you. And we will look forward to hearing more next month from our committees. Our ad hoc committees. Dr. Blackwell, did facilities committee meet
Informally.
informally? Okay.
We're
All right.
expecting to share in October.
Okay, perfect. And Benji, strategic planning?
Did not meet.
Okay, all right. And unfinished business, we've already talked about our secondary employment policy change, and we have no new business. It is 6:42 and we are ready to move on to closed session. How lovely is that? Okay, I will entertain a motion to move to closed session for personnel discussion per North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And so I will take a vote on the motion to move into closed session. Nicole? Aye. Michelle?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Benji?
All right.
Paul?
Aye.
All right, we are moving into closed session. Back.